Before we start, I'd like to recommend you the channel of Zefiewings. Just like me, they are doing Rusty Lake theories, and doing it quite seriously. I would like us to support them, the link is in the description. You are living your life minding your own business during the day, when suddenly you feel a vibration in your pocket. You take your phone out and turn on the screen to look what's going on. You see a notification. Rusty Lake has posted Part 1, a moving elevator and a mysterious... The text is cropped, but it's enough to intrigue you. You quickly click on the notification and enter a code to unlock your phone screen. Right away, you are being redirected to the post, and you see a teaser. So yeah, we've got a new teaser for Rusty Lake Untold, a tabletop game in the good old room escape genre, only this time the players are led by a game master through one of the pre-written adventures. Here's nowhere, and I've been covering these teasers since the very beginning. You can watch my news videos and see the evolution of my understanding. As far as we know, this game will require only pens and paper. The game master will have to download the rules, the GM guide, and the adventure cards, print them, and set up the game using them. The devs claim the setup will take around 30 minutes, and the game itself around an hour and a half. The GM will gradually reveal the cards with locations, characters, and puzzles, while the players are to roleplay their actions, keeping all kinds of notes. The world explored, the inventory, the questions, the thoughts. And based on their roleplay, the GM will develop the situation. Among teasers, we've got numerous photos of the cards for both upcoming adventures. The lab for free, and the other one paid, supposedly about the Vanderboom house. We've got an example of the player notes. We've got a photo of a play session. We've got a short video showcasing a puzzle using cards. And this time, we've got a whole sequence of short videos constituting a real interactive experience. Descend deeper into this memory and discover a secret about Rusty Lake Untold's first upcoming adventure, The Lab. This video looks like a normal play session of such game, with Bob Rafferty doing a game master voiceover in his impression of Mr. Owl. Or at least it kinda sounds like he scores a timbre, despite the actor slightly whispering like Mr. Crow. Look for yourself, or take this timecode to skip to my analysis.
The pool of gravity wakes you from your slumber. You're standing in an elevator that feels like it's descending, but you don't recall when you stepped inside. A weight on your right side pulls your attention to a briefcase, which you're gripping tightly by the handle with your hand. It is locked. You know something important is stored inside, but the 6-digit code to unlock it eludes you. The elevator shudders in its continuous descent, and you notice a matchbox laying on the ground. You grab it and quickly pocket it in your white coat. As you do this, your fingers touch something else. You pull out a single coin. After a moment, you tuck it back into your pocket and look at the small control panel on the right wall. There are only 2 buttons on it, and neither one has been pressed. As the elevator shows no sign of stopping, you wonder which button to press. You press the button and immediately feel the elevator starting to slow its descent until it comes to a gentle stop. A sharp bell sound announces your arrival as the elevator doors slide open. You step into a dark, narrow room with a small desk overlooking a large 2-way mirror. On top of the desk, you find a key card which you quickly put in your pocket, while your gaze is focused on the room on the other side of the mirror. It is completely covered in white tiles, and in the center of this room sits a dark figure on a small chair. A sense of familiarity washes over you. You have been here before. As you try to look closer, the figure snaps its head and stares at you with a pair of white, glowing eyes. You rub your eyes in disbelief, and when you open them, the figure is gone. The hairs on your neck rise when you feel a presence behind you. You whirl around and stumble back as the same glowing eyes are inches away from your face. The dark figure, now standing before you, gently reaches out with an open palm, its eyes burning with anticipation. Hesitantly, you press the coin in the figure's hand. Its fingers curl around it, but its gaze keeps focused on you. You can't look away. Its white eyes slowly envelop your vision, and a bright light is the last thing you remember. You slowly wake up on a soft and comfortable surface. It is pitch black and eerily quiet. You sit up. As your eyes start to get used to the darkness, your feeling of comfort turns to dread. You are sitting in a coffin. Panic crawls over you as you scramble out. Head first, you fall on the ground. It takes you a minute, but when you return to your senses, you realize you no longer have the briefcase. You look around, but the surrounding darkness is relentless. Luckily, you still have your matches. A flame flares to life as you strike the match. The momentary light reveals a candelabra in the corner of the room. You quickly strike another match. With each candle you light, the room reveals itself more. The briefcase is nowhere to be seen. But you spot two glass boxes next to each other. Each box has a crystal vial inside. One vial contains a black liquid, while the other contains a clear liquid. When you try to open one of the boxes, you discover they are locked with an electric lock big enough for the key card in your pocket. You hastily grab it, but then stop to think. Which box do you open? You insert the key card into the slot. A mechanism inside the lid clicks. You slowly lift the lid and grab the vial inside. The black liquid inside is mesmerizing. You remove the stopper and bring the vial to your lips. The unfamiliar taste leaves your mouth as soon as you swallow. A funny feeling spreads outwards from your stomach to your limbs. Your head starts spinning as you notice your body becoming pure darkness. The experience is overwhelming and you black out for a second. When you come back to reality, your surroundings have changed. You're in a dark forest with trees endlessly reaching for the sky. Right in front of you, the briefcase lies waiting. It sits unassumingly on the ground, lit by a lonely lamppost. You kneel in front of it. It is still locked, but you know that the 6-digit code is hidden somewhere in your recent memories. You just have to think back. At last, you remember. As you slide the last digit into place, a satisfying click echoes through the trees. You open the lid to reveal that which you were looking for since the beginning. The first Rusty Lake Untold adventure, The Lab, will be available to download for free on July 24th, 2024. Sign up now on rustylakeuntold.com. Let's make some memories.
So we know that the first adventure for no charge will be called The Lab, likely from the eponymous level of Underground Blossom. There's even a Rusty Lake Untold teaser in a hidden room there. So what else can we learn from these videos? I'm not sure it's much. After all, it's just a fourth wall breaking teaser, sharing only the location and the narrative style with other teasers we've got so far. For one, the protagonist is alone, while the actual game will be accessible for multiple players. For two, they're clearly a scientist working at this lab, while the player notes example makes me think that the protagonist of the tabletop game don't belong there. But despite all that, I do expect to see these images in the actual game. Either way, it's still the lab. Even the protagonist, whose shadow seems male to me, is wearing a white coat. They also look skinny and somewhat remind me of Albert, but I find that unlikely. They find themselves in an elevator moving down, despite none of the two buttons being pressed. What the protagonists of these two versions do share in common, they don't know, or at least have forgotten, where they're at. I suppose it could occur due to memory extraction. The lab has machinery for that. However, it's weird that the protagonist loses it so suddenly. Inside an elevator, as if in the middle of doing something. Instead of a memory extraction chamber, or at least, instead of waking up where they were left after the supposed extraction. So I have another assumption. I mean, besides a non-canon teaser. This could be a legit memory. Rusty Lake don't invite us to descend into one for nothing, right? So, the fourth wall breaking aside, the protagonist could be somewhere else, sometime later, concentrating on a memory cube, and thus funneling their consciousness into their past body, like we've seen so many times. Or maybe someone else's body. I'm skeptical that it's possible, but I don't completely rule it out. However, that doesn't really explain the amnesia. So far, it seems that you forget the world outside the cube, and the things you experienced outside, borderline perfectly synchronizing with your past self. The protagonists of Seasons, Arl, Birthday, and Theater don't seem disoriented after entering the cubes. Rusty Lake kindly provides us with an inventory picture made specifically for this video. But we know for sure that in the real game, the inventory will be kept in the player notes. They also give us two buttons to choose from. We can take a ride either to a locker room or observation room. And at the same time, we were expected to vote for the button the protagonist would press, because it was some kind of interactive game. So yeah, in the second part, we find the chosen room oddly familiar. We also find a keycard and a mysterious figure everyone has already recognized as a corrupted soul. It wants something from our updated inventory picture, and what it will be is decided by yet another vote. Speaking of the corrupted soul in the observation room, it's the first time we've got a description of how their presence feels. And as for its identity, one of few reasonable candidates so far is Albert. He's the only dark soul confirmed to be in that place. However, I have several points of doubt. If it's all canon, of course. For one, unlike Albert, it's uncontained. Or at least not contained enough. And for two, it's not nearly as hostile. Maybe the protagonist is an important person, but I can't imagine anyone other than Rose to be able to safely face Albert. And again, the protagonist's shadow doesn't look like Rose. Another candidate could be the protagonists themselves, who gets corrupted later on. Encountering your own corrupted soul isn't a new thing. Seasons, Paradox, The White Door. Although the reality of these encounters is questionable at best, and I'm not sure the protagonist would turn corrupt if not for the specific vote. It could be both. I mean both the protagonist and Albert, if they are the same person. Just saying. Or maybe he's just not hungry. So the community chose the coin. In part 3, after giving it to the soul, we get enveloped in the glow of its eyes we can't look away from, and suddenly wake up in a coffin in the middle of a dark room. We use matches to light it up. The briefcase is nowhere to be seen. The coffin looks a lot like the one of Albert, and the candelabra nearby also feels like a prop from that age. However, we are still in the lab, considering the tiles. I could even say that this looks like a mashup of the past and the future from the past within. And on another note, the coin, the coffin, and the corrupted soul together seem like yet another reference to the past within. Or maybe I'm seeing things. In the room, we find two crystal vials, one with a black liquid and the other with a clear one. And here I was really sorry that we had only one option to try out, and honestly, I'm not sure I'm satisfied with the community's choice. I hope we'll be able to see the alternative in the actual game, because turning into a corrupted soul is getting old. However, this time, we also learn that corrupted souls are not just black. They are pure darkness. I knew literate descriptions would reveal new things. Also, it's not the first time drinking a liquid turns something corrupted. In Paradox, the vial that did that was blue. Although Paradox is still a mind palace, and its vials may be not real at all, unlike these two in the lab. Also, corruption isn't the only effect. As a moment later, we found ourselves in a dead, misty forest, with trees endlessly reaching to the sky. Again, descriptions. We definitely need a Rusty Lake book. Or maybe it has nothing to do with the vial, and it's a normal Dark Soul ability, to teleport to the lake. Or maybe we suddenly left a cube floating around it. Either way, the forest is clearly at the lake bottom. We finally find our briefcase and, surprisingly enough, a lamppost. Likely the same lamppost we've seen in Underground Blossom. It's actually real. Or is it? Either way, it's the first time we see such infrastructure in the lake in a supposedly real setting. Paradox doesn't count because its forest is visibly near the lake, not under it. So we can finally open the briefcase, and apparently the code we need is hidden in our recent memories. The elevator buttons 2 and 3, the observation room 04, and the glass boxes 9 and 6. The moment of truth. We open the briefcase and find there a gaping date announcement-shaped hole in the fourth wall. Honestly, at that moment I was a bit disappointed. Diving into memories, the protagonist's silhouette, the vials, the lamppost, everything became questionable with just a snap of the fingers. At this point, I hope we'll get all these images in the actual game. At least we've got some official descriptions of corrupted souls and the forest. I really doubt that they won't be at the GM's discretion when the game is out. So yeah. On the other hand, I'm still unsure how much freedom the GMs will have during the setup. They could be able to define the world layout and the puzzle order, but there's no guarantee. At least, now it's more or less clear that there is some story, or at least its outline. But we don't know much so far, except for the setting of the lab, the protagonist's missing memory, and involvement of cubes and corrupted souls. We don't even know when it all takes place, and chances are it won't even have much of an impact on the global story. So that's it for today. Heroes now here, have a nice game, and remember, question everything in Rusty Lake.